A very good evening to all our listeners, and thank you, Sarabjit, for that kind introduction. I would just like to perhaps introduce the main speakers for today. I will be just moderating the session, but we're joined by Sharifah, Hani, Yasmin. She's currently the Alumni Youth Engagement and Chevening Officer at the British High Com in Kuala Lumpur. As a UK alumni herself, she oversees the High Commission's alumni engagement and the delivery of the Chevening Scholarship program in Malaysia. So you're speaking to the right person. And on a personal capacity, she has founded this employability initiative called One Step Closer. And this is to help young Malaysians get one step closer to getting a job, to getting employability. So welcome, Sharifah, Yasmin. How do you do?
Hi, Simret. It's good to see you. I hope you can hear me clearly. Good?
Clear.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
I'll introduce Mahesan as well. Mahesan, or a lot of us know him as Mash. He's a Chevening Scholar of 2018-2019. He studied his Masters in Media and Comms at Brunel University, London. He's had a good 15 years of experience in various media broadcasting networks, and is currently the creative content and account lead at Tin City Impact. So welcome, Mahesan. How are you?
I'm good, Simret. How are you? Hi, Yasmin.
I'm great. All right, we're good. Okay, so just a quick introduction of how we're going to do this, the format of this. We'll let Yasmin speak for a good 20 minutes or 15 minutes, however long she needs, to share about the Chevening Scholarship and what's out there for all our listeners who's listening, how you can apply, what are the tips, tricks, info session. Then we'll move on to Mahesan, share with us your experiences as a Chevening Scholar, right from leaving Malaysia to go to do your Masters and then coming back, and the next couple of years being an alumni, Chevening alumni. Share with us that experience, and then maybe I'll top it off with a little bit of tips and tricks on the application process. So without further ado, can I share the floor with Yasmin? Screen is yours.
Great, thank you so much. Let me just check if you can see my screen because I'll be sharing my slides.
Yes, we see your screen.
All right, good. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. We at the British High Commission always love to speak to young, promising Malaysians like yourselves and your community about this opportunity, which is an amazing opportunity. And as much as possible, we would like to share it with all Malaysians from every state in Malaysia. So first and foremost, this is the Chevening Scholarships. As you know, the Chevening Scholarships is the government's global flagship program, and it's funded by the Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office in the UK. So it's available not only in Malaysia, but across 160 countries. And these scholarships support a 1 year's master's degree at any subject and in any UK university. And I think this is the perfect platform to promote Chevening to, because Chevening is not just an academic endeavor, but it's also to help you navigate your career, and it's supposed to help you scale your career as well, which Mr. Mahesan can elaborate on later. Okay, so who are we looking for? We are looking for Chevening scholars with ambition and leadership potential, and this is very important to us because Chevening is not just for yourself, but it's also to impact the community around you. And as shared, we have had over 1,800 scholars coming from Malaysia. So that's a huge number of Chevening scholars. And we are looking to make sure every year we involve more Malaysians to be Chevening scholars. So Chevening scholars tend to rise to very prominent positions because, of course, we are looking for future leaders. So these are some notable Malaysians who are Chevening alumni. So you might recognize YB Khairi Jamaluddin, the former Minister of Youth and Sports and currently the Minister overseeing the vaccine program in Malaysia. He did a fellowship at the University of Oxford some time ago. We also have Dato Sri Muhammad Nazir Razak as well as Tan Sri Azman Mohtar. But of course, we are not just looking for the Khairi Jamaluddins. We are also looking for everyday Malaysians with a passion and the ability to lead and influence their communities. So don't be, blinded by these individuals. I wish we had time to go into every single Chevening scholar because they're just that unique and amazing. But of course, these are the type of people we look forward to getting applications from. So what is the eligibility requirements? And this part I actually love because we only have 3 or 4 eligibility requirements. So first and foremost, you have to be a Malaysian citizen. If you're not a Malaysian citizen, please do head to the chevening.org website because you might be eligible, just not under the Malaysian platform. You must already have an undergraduate degree at the time of application. So it's absolutely fine for you to not have gone through convocation, but you must have completed your final year of study and officially have passed all your exams and things like that, and you just need to have that undergraduate degree. We do not currently have a requirement for the grades that you must achieve, so no worries if you didn't get a first class degree or anything like that. That's fine because what we are looking for is the whole package. We just need to see your ability to lead and influence and your ability to, of course, complete a master's in the UK, which is quite a heavy requirement and responsibility. But we do not have that academic requirements, so this might make it easier. And of course, you must have at least 2 years of work experience. So I'll share a little bit more in detail about what we mean by work experience. Please do not worry if you haven't, worked in official capacity. But what we mean by work experience is just anything that you have done outside of your undergraduate degree. So that involves volunteering, that involves part-time work. They might not need to be related to your course that you want to apply for. It also includes, NGO work or any type of work experience or personal experience that is not a requirement of your undergraduate degree. So 2 years of work experience translate to 2,800 hours. So don't worry if you don't know how to calculate them. You can just always go to the chevening.org website, and there's kind of a calculator where you need to key in the hours that you've worked. But as long as you meet that 2,800 hours, you are eligible for this scholarship. So that can be, any sort of timeline as well. So for instance, if you started volunteering from you were 16 years old, yes, you can calculate that. That is absolutely fine. And you also must not have received UK government funding to study in the UK before. So this is the only requirements we have. So the scholarship does not have, a requirement in terms of age or background or anything like that. The scholarship also doesn't require you to apply to top UK universities. You're more than welcome to apply to Oxford and Cambridge and things like that, but we do not have a ranking system, and we allow you to take up any masters in the UK that is accredited, recognized. So other than that, we don't look for anything else. So before being awarded the scholarship, what must you have? So you must hold an unconditional offer from at least one university in the UK, and you have to commit to coming back to Malaysia upon the completion of your master's. So on the first point, what do we mean by unconditional offer? It just means that you must have an offer that the only other requirement is the financial aspect. Other than that, you must meet their university requirements. They might ask you for a certain English language requirement. So you must have that in place by next year. So at this time, you may just apply for it without this offer in hand. But by July of next year, when we award the actual scholarship, you must have at least one unconditional offer. And I know a lot of people are very ambitious. They always want to go to the best universities, and that's fine. But what I would recommend you do is to at least apply for one safety university, because we have had instances where we were, wishing to award the scholarship on a very talented individual. Unfortunately, they applied to only Oxford, Cambridge, and a very high-ranking university in the UK, like Imperial College London. And even though they were awarded the scholarship, they did not secure the unconditional offer from the university because it's a very competitive university, of course. And in that instance, we were not able to allow them to defer, and we just didn't allow them to take up that scholarship. And it's very unfortunate because we would love them as a scholar. on that note, we do not penalize them either, so we recommend them and encourage them to reapply again for Chevening. We have had scholars who applied 2 or 3 times or even more, and they secured it after those years of trying, and that's fine. We would love them to keep on trying because that means they keep on improving themselves before they are selected for the competitive scholarship. And on the second note, you have to commit to coming back to Malaysia because we want to see your impact on your communities. So this is a very strict requirement because we do not want to contribute to brain drain. And we must have you back in Malaysia for at least 2 years. And then, of course, after that, you can proceed to work overseas if you like, or do your postgraduate overseas if you wish to. But yes, we have these 2 requirements. It's not a bond, but you have to come back upon completion of your master's. Okay, so what does the scholarship cover? So it covers it fully covers the tuition fees, so you do not need to worry. It covers 1 living allowances for 1 individual. It covers the return flight ticket, as well as the visa application fees, and a little bit of additional grants to cover essential expenditure like winter clothing and things like that. So at this point, we'd like to highlight that we cover all sorts of courses except for MBAs. We do cover MBAs, but the tuition fee cap is £20,000. So for instance, an MBA usually is about £50,000. It's very expensive. So we will cover the initial £20,000, but beyond that, you will have to find your own sort of financial ability to cover the rest. But that is only for MBAs. For all other courses, do not worry, we cover it fully. Okay, so what else does the Chevening Scholarship offer? It is also, your way into an exclusive networking platform. We have over 50,000 Chevening alumni from all around the world. And at the same time, once you are in the UK, we will invite you to really exclusive opportunities like roundtable discussions with the UK government. We will invite you to leadership retreats and receptions with the partner organizations we have around the world. So it's such an amazing opportunity, not only to study in the UK, but also to network. And of course, we invite you to go to all the UK sports stadiums. I see some people are really excited. And we will also invite you to exclusive opportunities to go to see Harry Potter film studios or hike up the many mountains in the UK. So it's not just, all studies. Absolutely not. We would love you to find opportunities to enrich yourself with experiences across the UK as well. Okay, one last thing I want to highlight is, as I've mentioned, the Chevening alumni community. So Chevening has been running from 1983, and of course our Chevening alumni are amazing individuals across a wide range of fields. So we also have the Chevening Alumni Malaysia Association, who oversee the 1,800 scholars we have. And we are keen to invite more Malaysians to become Chevening scholars. So while we do not have a quota, in the past 10 years or so, we've managed to secure about 30 to 40 places per year for Malaysian scholars. So that's quite a big number considered to other countries. And it really speaks to the testament of Malaysians who are really passionate about impacting their communities in different ways. So I'll just roughly run through the application timeline. So we opened on the 3rd of August, I think that's in 2 days' time. And we close on the 3rd of November, so that's a 3-month period. And I beg you, please, Malaysians, do apply early because we always have Malaysians trying to send in applications in the last few days. And of course, the platform is a global platform. It's 50,000 people try to apply every year. So the platform will crash. So I'm begging you to do the very un-Malaysian thing of sending in your applications early. And at the same time, I would highlight, it's a very simple platform. So all you need to do is just put in your personal details. You answer 4 essay questions. You put in 2 references. You don't need to get the letter yet. Just put in 2 names. And that's it. It's really easy. So please send it in early, or else I'll be very stressed and I cannot help you upload your documents, okay? You must do it yourself. So yes, send it in early. And once application closed, we will set it against the eligibility requirements, and then we will send every application from Malaysia to the UK. So they are assessed by an independent reading committee of academicians and professionals in the UK, and they will then shortlist applicants for interview. So usually we have about 800 applications per year. Out of that, maybe 300 applications are shortlisted, and then we will interview about 120 of the best applications. And as mentioned, about 30 to 40 Malaysian scholars will receive the scholarship. So maybe I'm very bad at maths, so you may do your own calculations. But I think that means 1 out of 6 Malaysians interviewed will be selected, roughly. Fingers crossed, if we have amazing Chevenists, we will fight for you and we'll try to make sure we receive more spaces for Malaysians. This year we're happy to report we have 42 spaces for Malaysians, so that's a great number. Okay, so we'll invite them for interview. So the interview will most probably be online, so please do not worry if you're outside of Selangor. I'm very grateful that there's some flexibility in light of COVID, so we're able to do the interview online. Each applicant will have about 15 to 20 minutes time, and you'll be interviewed by staff at the British High Commission, 3 of them on a panel, so you always have to prepare, of course, for the interview. And then we will announce the results in June. You must send us an unconditional offer by July, and then in September we will say, hey, we have a pre-departure briefing. We'll invite you to the residence in KL, or it might be hosted online again, I'm not quite sure. But then in September you get to fly off, and it's an amazing time because obviously the whole process is very long. That's a little bit unfortunate, but we're really, really excited to see you at the pre-departure and send you off to the UK. Okay. So as mentioned, everything is available on our website at chevening.org/apply. And just roughly, I'll cover the 4 application questions. So the first one is on leadership and influencing. What we need to see is your personal story. It must be your experiences of how you influence others in personal or professional capacity. The second one is on networking. So do have a think of how you want to establish, global networks, whether that's your professional networks in the UK or the Chevening Global Alumni Network. That one is, of course, you have to elaborate to us in the essay why do you want to study in the UK and why that particular course? And we really encourage people to be, very diverse in their choices. This is the time to really find unique courses that is not available in Malaysia. So that's the unique factor, that you can put in your essays, why that particular course and how will it allow you to achieve your career goals. And the last essay will just be a little bit about your short-term and long-term goals. How will you achieve them and how will they benefit Malaysia? And this doesn't have to be, through policies. It doesn't need to be, that high level. It can also be through your communities as well. So for instance, if you're taking a very niche course in interfaith studies and then you want to come back to Malaysia and approach churches and mosques and temples in Malaysia to work together, that is amazing, and that is exactly what we want to see. You're able to impact your community in your personal or professional capacity. Okay, so we'll also have a workshop. So after this, I will share in the text bar this email. So we'll invite you to our Chevening workshop, which is sometime in October. So we'll be able to go through the questions a little bit more and help you with your application. Our social media platforms, please do have a look at them. They have loads of videos, especially on our YouTube channel, or you can go to the Chevening Alumni Malaysia YouTube channel as well. There's more tips and tricks there. Okay, so I'm going to end my presentation now, and then we will pass it back to Bimbing to elaborate on the next segment. Thank you.
Awesome, Yasmin. I think last year I joined one of the sessions here, and seeing you explain this again makes me feel like now I really understand the whole process because I've been through it, right? And it's really nice that you've nicely put it all out. The last day of application is 3rd of November, and I'll share a very funny story. Was my baby was born on the 2nd of November, and we went into labor on the 1st of November. So thankfully, I had to submit the application on the 1st because I hear that on the 3rd, there was some sort of a system crash and there was a lot of people that was trying to apply. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. Before we move on to Mahesan, with your sharing, please, audience, feel free to ask your questions in the chat box. We'll get to your questions right after our session, and we'll get Yasmin, Mahesan, or myself to answer them. Okay, Mahesan, I think for Yasmin's knowledge, right, through my application process, I felt the need to have a mentor. I felt the need to have somebody that I could go to ask about the Chevening Scholarship through the entire process. Even before the interview, I had a chat with Mahesan, and he was telling me some tips and tricks. So Mahesan is this guy, this mentor that I had. And I would like you to share your experience with everyone here. And hopefully people in the audience will be able to relate and have some sort of a connection with you and ask you mentorship questions along the next year. So Mahesan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simret. Thank you, Bimbing. Thank you, Yasmin. Amazing. Listening to you explain and present the whole thing again just brought back memories. And it's nice. It's sweet memories, because when you are talking through the whole thing, and it's me placing myself again through that whole process of application, going through the getting the award, getting the emails, actually flying off. It has been a wonderful journey. Yeah. So just to recap, my Chevening experience started with my ex-boss, because my experience in the industry, or the media industry, is a lot to do with TV, radio, media agencies, creative agencies. So at this particular time, I was working with I Am For You FM, and my boss at that time was ex-TV3 host Kartini Arifin. And yeah, so you will also know her from, yeah. So she was my direct boss, and she looked up at me and she said, don't you want to do your master's? And I was like, yes, I would like to, and it is my plan too. And she's like, where do you want to go? I said, I want to go to the UK, because I also play cricket. So I play cricket for Malaysia, and well, 1 or 2 games for Malaysia and state. So it is my dream to also go to the UK and, you know, explore cricket and stuff like that. And she's like, you know, you should try Chevening. And I was, what is Chevening? And then she went on to explain. Fast forward all those years ahead, I applied and got through. It was not as straightforward as applying and getting it, because the universities I applied to, complications, this, that, yada, yada. Anyway, all things said and done, I got, and I flew to the UK. Now, Chevening is a platform. It allowed me to grow. It allowed me to learn. It allowed me to explore myself. More than that, it allowed me to discover avenues and platforms in which I can expand myself as a person, and to leverage on to then bring back and expand the industry that I'm in. So when Yasmin was mentioning about applying to a niche course that might not be offered in Malaysia, and quite incidentally, see, I also run creative platforms for experiential branding. So meaning to say, in nice, short, exciting words, I actually organize concerts and music festivals in Malaysia. But what I do is that I connect man and brand. So that's my motto. I connect man and brand. And I happen to have organized concerts like Selena Gomez, was part in play with Bruno Mars in Malaysia, Ed Sheeran in Malaysia, different stand-up comedy shows and comics coming into Malaysia. And I also used to run, or well, still do, a music festival platform. And the intention was how to leverage creative platforms like this with branding, and then take that one step further to do place branding. And it was very much a thing in the UK, or is still very much a thing in the UK, because my thesis was done, or my dissertation was done on Glastonbury. So I was involved with Glastonbury from day 1 to day 5. And learning on how Glastonbury as a music festival has branded Somerset as a county in the UK to promote tourism, arts, culture, tradition. You know, it goes, the list is long. So sitting in the interview with a panel of 3 people, getting interviewed by them, I found out that at that time, Bhavani and Felicity, who were interviewing me, wanted to attend my music festival in Malaysia, but could not get tickets, right? So yeah, so it all connects in a way. Anyway, coming back to Chevening, My experience in the UK was a bliss. For the people who know me, from the time I landed in the UK till the time I left the UK, I was always doing something. I was always working in a way that to expand my career. I was always networking in a way to expand my career. In doing so, I was also involved with concerts like Pink in the UK, Fleetwood Mac in the UK, Bon Jovi, uh, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was involved with the festivals, Glastonbury. I was there. I did not have tickets, but guess what? I was escorted by the police into Glastonbury to do my research. It was such, yeah, it was such a blessing. And there's a lot of things in the UK that taught me a lot. I was also involved in cricket. I played cricket in the UK. I captained my university in the UK. I was involved with the Malaysian society in the UK. I also traveled with music bands. I traveled with concerts. I traveled a lot to Belgium. I traveled a lot to Netherlands. I traveled a lot to France as well. Germany, I was there as well. So it allowed me for this, Chevening allowed me for this. And what does it mean to me? What does it mean to my career? What does it mean to Tanah Air? A lot. Why? Coming back, obviously with the pandemic and how things are right now, it is not really a suitable environment to practice the engagement level that I have learned, because my platforms are very physical engagement. It is very face-to-face. It is very tangible engagement. So it was a challenge to come back and try and practice that, because I could not. But what it enabled me to do was now to leverage on the virtual platforms, on the conversions, on how you can take physical, tangible, experiential engagement and create that same immersion on a virtual platform. So UK taught me that as well. So I was involved with platforms with IoT companies, with various other channels, and how it just created a whole level of a different spectrum of opportunities. That being said, Chevening has also allowed me to connect with other practitioners from across the globe. Quite strangely is that I was staying in campus, right, on campus, and my flat was a 10 room flat, all right. And out of the 10 rooms, I had 6 other Cheveners together with me. So with me, there were 6 Cheveners. So I had people from Guyana, I had people from Nigeria, I had people from Ghana. So it was amazing because we learned a lot. We learned a lot about how Chevening is in their country, how they are going to go back, because they work with policymaking corporations and bodies, and it was so amazing to learn how they would go back and then apply themselves. Quite interestingly also, because I'm a very physical engagement person, so I was also organizing networking meetups for Cheveners in the UK. So it wasn't just Malaysian Cheveners. I was organizing networking events between global Cheveners coming from all over the world. And it was so nice to actually understand different cultures, different traditions. And more than that is just to learn about their path and how is that their roadmap in the future, So all in all, and by the way, guys, my 2018 Chevening Scholarship was my 3rd attempt. So yeah, so why 3rd attempt? I only realized it at the 3rd attempt, because my first 2 attempts weren't done properly. I reflect and think about those first 2 attempts which I applied, and I realized that I should have taken more time, put in more effort with my essays. Well, the answering of the questions were easy, but the essays, you need to take a little bit more time, explore yourself. It is not about going out and understanding what is outside. More than that, it is about understanding what you have to contribute to the society or the community that you are in. And yes, so UK solidified my principles, my virtues. Do I miss the UK? Yes, I do. Was I offered a job to go and work in the UK? Yes, I did. But it is about coming back and making a difference here. So yes, this is me back in Malaysia, trying to make a difference with the climate that it is now, waiting for things to open so that I can actually do what I wanted to do when I set out for Chevening in the UK, which is a lot, there was not one weekend which I did not do something. I was either cricket, it was either producing music, it was either live productions with concerts and music festivals, it was either networking. I attended Chevening events, I attended out of Chevening alumni events, and even Chevenius networking events. Really, really interesting. More than that, I actually grew my love for the UK, really and truly. Do I want to go back to the UK and explore other opportunities? Yes, I do. And do I want to come back and do things in Malaysia? Yes, I do. So yeah, in a gist, that is my Chevening experience.
That's a very nice, Mahesan. I think that was a very encompassing. I want to point out a couple of things, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
for all our listeners. If you realize he never once said he studied. All he said was he networked, he produced music. So never once he said he actually sat down and spent a weekend studying. So which is what Chevening is all about. I think you're going there to do your masters, but that's not your good masters for your own growth, but at the same time create some sort of a lot of people while you're there, and then bring this relationships back to Malaysia and help everyone back home. So it was really nice. You want to say something, Mahesan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. And why I point that out is because of how it was in the UK for me. Yasmin also touched this in her presentation about, exploring the UK, learning the UK, and how do you say this, internalizing the culture. You see, what Yasmin said earlier and about Malaysia and the UK, and in fact, the ambassador also mentioned this in the previous leadership as well. There is a long history, obviously, between Malaysia and the UK, and I wanted to experience that. Now, it goes without saying that I had to study every day. So my my daily routine was to study first. So I got that out of the way. All right. So it was me up every day in the morning at 6 o'clock. I'm in the gym first thing, okay, because I play cricket and stuff like that. So fitness is also my routine. So I'm in the gym first thing in the morning, and right after that is bang studies. So I'm getting my classes out of the way. I'm getting my studies out of the way. And when I hit 3 p.m. is then everything else. So I'm then allowed to expand and explore. So I've seen Wembley in the in pictures. I never dreamed of actually producing concerts. I produced Pink in Wembley Stadium. I was there for NFL. I was doing the production for NFL. I was in Enfield. I was in Trafford. Not me actually paying and going there, but I was somehow enabled to experience all of that because I was exploring. So it is my shout out to anyone applying for Chevening is that be balanced. It's a principle of balance, do it all. And it is one motto that I believe a busy man, a busy person makes time for everything. So make time for your studies, make time to explore, make time to learn, and enjoy Chevening. Yeah.
Thanks, Mahesan. I think when you explain it, right, I'm sure there are people in the audience who have been to the UK for a holiday, who's been there for maybe the undergrad, but I think it's a whole different thing. Doing your master's is by itself a different thing. And then being a Chevening scholar where you are connected and have various events to network and stuff. So that is important. Another thing I want to share that you shared as well, the entire Chevening experience is exploring. It's about exploration, exploring yourself. And you did that while you were there. I have not gone. I'm leaving next month in September. However, I believe that my application process was the start of exploring myself, which is a very nice headway into some of the tips I want to share in applying your Chevening scholarship. Like Yasmin mentioned, there's 4 essays. And in writing those essays, I actually learned a lot about myself. I learned where I wanted to go. I learned whether I'm ready to step up and be this brand ambassador, to step up to be this ambassador for the country. While I'm writing the essays, I actually was able to explore that. So just giving some tips really quickly, the leadership topic. So you've got to try to give examples of your professional experiences, right? Detail out how you were able to influence people, not just leadership means what to you, right? You got to give a little bit more examples on how you were a leader and how you were able to influence people. So give proper examples and give proper results of those examples, like proper impactful results. So some of the don'ts is, don't focus too much on leadership titles. So if you were the president of this organization or vice president of that, it doesn't show results. You've got to explain what you did as a president, right? So those are some things. Another thing is people share a lot of examples, but they don't share the results, what happened after you doing these things, right? So that is the leadership part. And then you've got to have somewhat of a segue into the next question, even though it's 4 different questions, but you've got to connect them, right? So the next one then comes about networking. So I don't think anybody out there can tell you how to write your networking essay, because it's unique to you. It's what you did that created this network effect and influence people, right? So how did you facilitate that? There's no way for anybody else's experience for you to write. You have to write your own thing and be very specific. So one of the don'ts is just by joining certain social groups doesn't make you specialist in networking, right? Just because you join Toastmasters Malaysia doesn't, you've got to show what you did when you were in that organization and how you were able to network and create an impact, right? And then we move on to the third essay. So this is where you have to detail out the university that you want to go to, the course that you want to take. And this is what I did. I may be wrong, but I feel that there's a need to marry what you're currently doing at your work and the reason for your master's course. You've got to marry. It's very hard to make a case for someone who's doing A but then want to do B. Can be done, but you've got to convince them. You've got to convince in your essay why that switch, or why you want to use these two to marry them, right? So and then of course, when in the UK, what else do you want to do, right? Other than the course, other than the UK, add stuff like volunteerism. Which are the organizations that you want to be a part of when you're there, the concerts that you want to be a part of, like Mahesan was sharing, if you want to be a part of a certain culture. So this is where you talk about that dream, that wonderful dream of studying in the UK, right? And then the 4th essay would be, what next? You come back from the UK, then what? So this is where you speak about the impact that you want to bring post your masters, the relationships that you've built, all these things that you've said that you're going to do in the UK. Now, when you come back, how are you going to expand it, right? So you've got to make it, you've got to outline it very concretely. You cannot just simply be very general. You've got to be very concrete with what you want to achieve, right? And you have to convince, you have to give convincing reasoning why you think this is where you see yourself or vision yourself. So that was part of the application. So as Yasmin was explaining earlier, the application will end in November. We'll start in the next 2 days, apply, will end on the 3rd of November. Then you've got a good 3 months or so before, like early February or late January, when they tell you that you've passed the first round, right? So that 3 months is when you actually go out there and apply for your universities. And if you've got a good Chevening essay, you'll probably be able to use the same info for all your essays for applying to the universities. So pick out those universities. You can even apply to more than 3, just in case you don't get the Chevening Scholarship. And then you've got this one university that's willing to give you some sort of a funding. Then you can, at least if you don't take the Chevening Scholarship, if you don't get it, then you've got other options, right? And then once you get the decision that you've passed the first stage, so you now prepare for the interview. And the interview, you've got 3 panels. they'll be asking you a bunch of questions. I'm just gonna read out some of the things that got me prepared for the session. Why you, right? They're only gonna give the scholarship to 30 to 40 people, right? Why you, right? So what are your strengths? And don't be afraid to say what are your weaknesses and how you are improving your weaknesses. So that is one of the good tips that I had. And then share how you influence others, tell your story. This is where you speak, right? In an essay, maybe you're not able to really explain and expand. So this is where you tell your story. So what I did was I was able to pick out a couple of stories on different slides, and like I told those stories, I wrote it down, I told myself that same story. So I was able to speak a story nicely when we had the interview session. That's just me. And then why masters now, right? You want to do your masters, but why now, right? Your reasoning must be quite convincing, because then they're going to pick the top 30, top 40 people to give their masters, to do their masters now, right? So that has to be another question you have to answer. And then how did you pick your university? What did you do to pick your university? Why Chevening? Why the UK? So I think Mahesan had said some of the reasoning why Chevening and why UK. I think you could think of reasonings why you want to explore the Chevening alumni, the Chevening cohort, the Chevening brand, why you want to explore the UK. And finally, think about your short-term and long-term impact. When you come back, what is your short-term, quick, next year, 2 years, what are you going to do? Right? And then long-term, 5 years, 10 years, where do you see yourself? So these are the things that will be asked during the interview session. And then after that, you've got to wait gratefully for a couple of months, which then once you get your results, then we're all good. So so this is the whole process. I think Yasmin explained briefly on the information on Chevening Scholarship by itself. Mahesan explained what's it like being a Chevening scholar through his journey, and once he came back, what did he do? And I'm sharing a little bit about the application process. So now let's jump into some of the questions, and maybe Yasmin and Mahesan, you guys can jump in and answer whichever relevant to you. Yeah. So the first one would be, hi Yasmin, Amira Akila here, wanted to know, can we apply for the same subject at 3 different universities? Example, a Masters in Entrepreneurship at Edinburgh, London, and Bristol. So same course, 3 different universities. How does it have to be very distinctive? Does the subject have to be very like focused on one subject matter, 3 different universities, or can you pick and choose? Yasmin.
Do let me know if you can. It got a bit choppy. But to answer the question, that is actually recommended. Please do apply to similar courses at 3 or more universities, because that is diversifying your risk. Sometimes if you were to apply to similar courses in one university, they might decide you weren't the ideal candidate. So if you apply to 3 different universities in similar courses, that'd be better and easier for you to elaborate in your essay. And don't worry, you don't need to worry about the ranking of the universities or anything like that, as mentioned. So I think that helps answer the question.
Also, just to touch, because what you can also do for those applying is that you have to also look at the universities. Example for myself, in order for me to get because FCO is also partnering with other partners to get the funding to send scholars for the Chevening experience, and some of the partners are also the university themselves. So what happens is sometimes the universities will be some of the clauses. Example for me, I did Brunel. I was studying in Brunel, and it was one of the clauses saying that if the applicant is applying as Brunel being the first choice, then there's a higher chance. So it is always good to research on the university and their relationship with Chevening to understand if it's easier for you to get the scholarship or not. So yeah.
So you can do that just by going to the university website, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Chevening Scholarship.
Yeah. So it's under the funding. Some universities call it scholarship, some universities call it funding, some help, whichever. Or you can even just, the FAQs might help you, or just get in touch with one of the program coordinators. They'll be more than happy to help you. Yeah.
Okay, may I ask, what should the tone of the essay be? Should it be personal or rather factual and formal? Where can I find experienced Cheveniers to help proofread my essays before the submission? Well, I can take that. I feel, this is my own feeling, you should be more personal, right? Being more factual and formal is not putting yourself out there. Being personal with your growth, your journey is what the Chevening people are looking for, right? So that's my answer. And if you really need somebody to proofread your essays, BIMBING team and myself, we've got a couple of Cheveniers part of the group that will be happy to help proofread. Yasmin, Mahesan, any take?
I go with what you said. Yes.
Okay.
I agree as well. So definitely be personal in your stories. We had so many applicants who write Mahathir in 1995 and Syed Sadiq say this, but actually what we want to hear about is your personal story. So yes, do keep it personal, but of course, write it eloquently and give examples of how you are a leader, etc. And yes, thank you so much, Bimbing team. That's amazing. We were always on the lookout for mentors or alumni who are happy to help others receive the scholarship as well. That's the kind of initiatives that we would love to see alumni doing in the future.
Yeah, I think through the virtual career day, we had 5 different speakers who were ex-Cheveniers. So all of them have agreed to, help some sort of mentor to anybody who needs. So, just drop your essays to us and we'll figure things out. The next question would be from Kiran. Hey Simret, how did you connect with Mahesan to assist mentor you during your application process? Well, here's a very good friend, very old family friend. I've known him for more than 10 years. So
our dads work together.
Our dads work together. But this is the kind of session that you were able to come now, connect with me, connect with Mahesan, right? And we'll be more than happy to help mentor you through the way. I mean, we are bimbing, right? We're supposed to bimbing you lah. So no issues there. Will it affect my chances of being selected in the example I use as reference in my essay as experience in oral medicine field, but I'm applying for psychology, different field? Or is it recommended to apply for the course related to my field for better success rate? Okay, I will say something and then maybe Yasmin and Mahesan can go. So I'm a geoscientist by degree. I did my degree in geoscience in 2010, started working as a geoscientist in Petronas for 10 years. And then now I'm applying for the Chevening Scholarship. So I had one of 2 options, right? I could go and do my master's in geoscience, which I know for sure I will ace because I've been working for 10 years doing it. So I'm already a master in geoscience, but I'm going to apply for geoscience masters and go and have a good time. I could do that. Or I chose the second option where I chose growth. The last 2 years in the company, I began working towards the business side of things, even though I'm a geoscientist, but I'm now coming up with a business model, coming up with a venture plan for the next 5 years. So these are some business tools that I need to learn, right? So that was my convincing essay lah, when I explained to Chevening that I wanted to do business analysis and strategic management as a master's rather than doing geoscience. So that was a quick shift. Hope that answers. Mahesan and Yasmin, if you wanna.
Yasmin, you wanna go first?
Sure. So exactly as Simret said, you can actually apply out of your field as able to justify why you would like to pivot to that new environment or new challenge, And specifically to answer your question, it's examples referenced, but you're applying in a different field. Again, as long as you're able to highlight, the networking aspect or the leadership aspect, that's absolutely fine. Just don't make it too sector specific or jargony, because obviously a lot of the reviewers might not be in that field, so they might not even understand what you're talking about. But of course, focus on the general terms and the achievements that you've done generally. We've had, scholars who already did their masters or even their PhDs. So it's absolutely fine for you to do a second master's even. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you apply it in your field, you'll be more successful. No, it just means that you would probably do a better job, but we want to see you grow. So exactly as Simret said, do challenge yourselves and highlight how you'll be able to take on that challenge so we can see your potential even more.
Awesome. And just to add, is pretty much just in reflection with how you see yourself in 5 or 10 or 15 years. Yeah, so if you've got a career aspiration, you've got a career pathway, just go with it and justify it in the best manner possible. As long as you can come back and make a good contribution towards Malaysia as it is, your personal growth, do it.
Awesome. I hope that answers the question, Shia. Moving on to Siti Sarah. So Siti Sarah is asking the 4 questions, is it one long essay or is it in 4 different parts? So I'll just quickly take that. You've got to write your essay in the website. Of course, you will draft it in Word document or whatever. But when you go to the website, it's in 4 different parts. So even though I did mention we have to connect the dots, but it will be in 4 different parts. I think it was what, 500 words per essay, wasn't it?
Yeah, now it's 500, is it?
Yasmin could answer that. Can't remember.
I honestly am not sure. I will have.
If I remember correctly, it's
check, but it's
Hi. Okay. So we'll move from there. Are the essays assigned to the reading committees based on our field of study? Yasmin, you got to take that.
Sure. So actually, they might not be assigned to academicians or professionals in that field of study. So as I said, you can use, some terminologies, but don't go too deep into it. Always focus on the impact that you will bring rather than why is it beneficial to you, because we want to see the other way around. You can also include, please do not include links in your application. We do not have the time, unfortunately, to go beyond what's in your text, the body of the text. And on that note, anything you upload as well, for instance, you might have done really amazing research. We might not have time to read that through. So do not worry too much about the extras that you might add. Just focus on the core essays and that'll be more than enough.
Awesome. One more question for you, Yasmin or Mahesan. Could you share some notable national contributors from leadership roles taken up by past Chevening scholars from non-elite backgrounds, non-elite UK WASTIs? So notable normal Malaysians who have done proper contribution to Malaysia. Anybody have any examples?
Yasmin, I think the current CAM president is also doing some notable contributions, right? You would know of that?
Yes, I'm not sure if Yasmin is here, but that's true, Mahesan. I think once you join the
CAM
alumni group and see what's been going on, he's a normal guy who's able to like come up with 5-6 different startups, and he's got a bunch of social enterprises helping out many people along the way. He's also a personal trainer when it comes to public speaking and branding, and he's standing next to the elites lah, if you may. Yeah, okay, we've got Yasmin back.
Yeah, sorry, I got dropped off just now. But just to answer that question, we do have a list of Cheveners who might not have studied at top universities, but obviously are making great impact in their communities. So I can share Miss Lavanya here. She's actually with WWF. She's doing amazing work in that field. We also have quite a lot of researchers and actually 6 months research projects. And they are currently, working closely with the government in policy making and things like that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but if you email me, I'm more than happy to. So feel free to email me at the email address I shared, and elaborate on what kind of field you might be interested in, and I'll be able to connect you with them. As mentioned, we don't actually look at the university backgrounds just because we believe that UK education is great at any UK university. And at the same time, Oxford and Cambridge might not even be the best universities for certain courses. They are generally amazing universities, but the niche course you are looking at might not be there, and it's absolutely fine. Don't feel like you have to apply to top universities just because society dictates it. I studied in Essex myself, and Essex is not a top university. But upon returning to Malaysia, I found many opportunities and many ways that I've contributed as well. So it's really about how it's really about the impact that your experience has on you, not really what the university can give you, because it could be the best university in the world, but if you don't engage, then you wouldn't benefit from it. Education is really something that should refine you. It shouldn't define you. So it's definitely worth looking outside of top or core universities just to study at.
Just an analogy, sorry, tongue twister, an analogy around what Yasmin just said is you driving a Ferrari and you driving a Wajah. If you know your way around the track and how to maneuver the car, you might perform better in a Wajah than a Ferrari, right? So it's not about what car you're in, which university in, is how you use that education and experience in your life. That's pretty much it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of questions about the two things. One is your education, right? Can I take more subjects? Will that help me get a better, lead in for the Chevening Scholarship? No, right? They're not looking for somebody who's got 10 A's, 12 A's, 13 A's. They're looking for somebody who's got leadership qualities, who's able to network, that kind of thing. So those values are more important. Second question would be ranking, university ranking. A lot of people think that if you get Chevening, you're going to one of the big universities and all that, but not really. When you write your essay, one of the don'ts is don't say too much that you want to go to this particular university because of the ranking. Like, you should talk about the course that you want to go for, and the city. What is the city going to give you when you're there? How close is the city to London if you want to come to London? Things like that. That is more important than the ranking of the university by itself. So hope that answers everyone's questions. I don't have any more questions in the chat box. I think what we can do is I'm going to share my LinkedIn profile. Anyone wants me to proofread your essays or ask me any questions, feel free. I'm sure Mahesan is more than willing to share his. Yep. He put it in the chat box, and if you want to email Yasmin, she shared her email as well. With that, thank you so much, Yasmin. It was really nice of you to be taking your Sunday evening, spending the time with us.